Hello, I'm Senator Mike Enzi. In the last couple of weeks, many of you have contacted me online or through my office about the Keystone XL pipeline project and your opinions on raising the minimum wage. Let's take a look at some of the questions and comments you've shared with me on these issues. First, Sandy from Basin said, we as a country should pressure Obama to quit suppressing the job markets as far as the Keystone pipeline goes. John from Evanston says, I live in a part of Wyoming that sees the economy ebb and flow with the work on energy-related jobs. It really does make a difference. Kathy from Cheyenne says, we should be fixing the old pipelines that will put thousands of people back to work before we build a pipeline that creates a few permanent jobs and just exports the oil to other countries. David from Albany says, are you doing all you can to make sure the Keystone pipeline gets finished? Our delegation is doing all that we can to see that the Keystone pipeline gets finished. You know, that's been under study for 4 years already, and it's just waiting for a decision by the Department of State, who get to make the final proclamation, and they keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And it would mean about 42,000 jobs in our area. It's a shame that the president's indecisiveness is costing jobs again, and those jobs move into every sector of the economy. So I'd like to see that pipeline approved. Originally there was an environmental problem with it, but they moved the pipeline and they solved that problem to the satisfaction of the environmental community and the people, more importantly, of Nebraska. Of course, we offered to let them bring it through Wyoming too. We have pipelines throughout Wyoming that look like the veins in the back of your hand. And it's all to transport energy so that people primarily in the rest of the country can use it, but it's a big part of our economy and we want that to happen. As for work on other pipelines, this is a permitting problem, not a pipeline problem. If there's a viable pipeline, it'll be built, and if there's one that needs a repair, it'll be repaired because there are severe penalties for not doing that. Minimum wage. Jim from Gillette asked, could you live on $7 an hour minimum wage? Ty from Cheyenne, by disagreeing on the minimum wage, you're hurting America while the president's trying to save us. Candace from Gillette says, as a small business owner, I'd go out of business if they raised the minimum wage to $10. Karen from Glen Rock says, people need a living wage. The cost of other government-funded programs such as food stamps, welfare, should drop if workers could live on what they could earn. Actually, the programs of food stamps, welfare, and etc. would go down if people could get jobs. And the problem out there isn't that there aren't jobs and jobs that pay well, it's that there aren't the skills to match up for the jobs that are needed out there. That's what we've got to do. We've got to get people training to other jobs. And one of the ways that the minimum wage works is if we raise it from $7 to $10, then the people who are making $9 will make $12, and so on up the entire chain. And that's not bad. Everybody would like a raise. But in order to do the raise, you've got to raise the cost of the product that they're providing. And if you raise the cost of the product 30%, just like you raise the minimum wage, nobody gains. It costs them just as much uses just as much of their money as it did before. So what it did was put them in a higher tax bracket. The president's been wanting another $1 trillion to spend, and that's how he's going to get it, by putting us all in a higher tax bracket. Now, I think that anybody that works hard ought to make enough money to support their family. And what we're talking about here, though, are the minimum skill folks. I was talking to a guy from Burger King, and he owned several stores now, and he said he began by flipping burgers. And you know, if you go to work doing that and you show up and you show some ingenuity and you learn, in less than 2 months you won't be at minimum wage anymore. And in 6 months you could even be managing a store if you've got some interest in learning about the business and, again, showing up and being willing to teach others. So with a little bit of capability, nobody stays at the minimum wage very long. And it should really be called minimum skills. I want to once again thank you for all the great questions and comments you send to me. Remember that if you would like to stay up to date with what I'm working on for you in Washington, check out my Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages. If you'd like to receive my monthly e-newsletter, just go to my website at enzi.senate.gov and click on the sign up button on the right side of the screen. Thank you.